So now you are able to see the screen, right?
Yes, sir.
No, so fine.
Yes.
So now, so before followed, right? So last class, if you see, okay. So what we were doing is, you remember, right? So now the temporal derivative, the spatial derivatives in the velocity stress formulation. So we have this 2-2 scheme, that is central difference in time, central difference in space. So we have this 2-2 scheme kind of a thing. So now generally sometimes if you want to decrease the errors, say, okay, so one can go for higher order also. Okay, so that's what we said here. So I think this was a scheme 2, 4. Okay, so this also we have told. This one stands for time and this one stands for space. So now here the spatial derivatives say, so we are using fourth order approximation. Okay, so that means you can see 4 points are used to compute the spatial derivative. So this we call as 2, 4 this type of approximation, because for time we are using only 2 points in time, m plus half and m minus half, but here I plus half, I minus half, I plus 3/2, I minus 3/2 we are using here. So this is a 2, 4 scheme we have said. Then finally say, so you can even go for 4, 4. Okay, and here there is some tricks, people use it in finite difference. The trick is, whenever you have a time derivative, say, okay, so even you can replace a time derivative with space derivative also. Like time derivative of velocity can be replaced with spatial derivative of stress, and then you can interchange this versus this, that versus this. So like for example, if you have time derivative with respect to stress, say, you can replace this with the spatial derivative of velocity actual. Okay, so whichever is easy, as per our formulations. So like for example, I think this we did. So dou cube b by dou t cube. Okay, so this is a third derivative of velocity. So this you can replace with a spatial derivative of sigma itself. Okay, so these are all several tricks one can use. So like you can see, third derivative of sigma has been replaced with a spatial derivative of velocity. Okay, so now in this way we can define some auxiliary variables and we can write. So temporal derivatives can be reduced, and then finally this we derived actually. Okay, so this was our expression for to compute the equations for velocity. So now this is our second order accuracy. So now for third order accuracy, so you have to include all these terms itself. So I think we wrote the expression also in the last class. So for temporal derivatives, say yes. Okay, so this was our expression. Okay, so now if you want higher order, say, you should be able to approximate this third derivatives. Okay, so this we are replacing with these type of quantities, and finally say, so you can derive this big you see the expression. So this was expression for vi. Okay, and similarly I think we wrote for just 1 second, sigma m also we can write. Okay, so bi into this much, just yeah. So now for sigma hat also say, okay, so m minus half, and then I minus half, say. So this also you can write so m I minus 2. So this is a material property. So 1 by h. Okay, so 9 by 8, and then vi m minus half minus vi minus 1. Okay, so m minus half. No, minus half. Okay, so this is the first thing, and now we have this 1 by 24. So vi plus 1. Okay, so m minus half minus so vi minus 2. So m minus half. So this is how we have approximated these derivatives. So we had sigma hat in a fourth order scheme itself. So now our scheme is 4 point you followed, right? Fourth order in time, fourth order in space also. So now if we are, so now here we are having these terms are there, say. Okay, so in this expression we have these all the variables are there. Okay, so what are these variables? I think last class we have already written. So you can see here. So these are the auxiliary variables. So v hat is b dou sigma by dou x, this one. So now if I use all our spatial derivatives, okay. So now if we replace, if you use all spatial derivatives, say, okay. So if you use all spatial derivatives, Okay, all spatial derivatives, so fourth order you followed, right? So you can get one, a type of a scheme itself. Now people you followed, right? They play with this one. See, sometimes, for V hat and sigma hat, say, you use, the fourth order for other things, say, okay? So we this one, so double these things, and then you see thrice are there you followed, right? So this, if you can use a second order, that also gives you 4 comma 4 itself. Then we can have, or you can approximate. So we had sigma hat, say, all, this double hat, and then so all these things you represent in terms of second order, okay, because they are also derivatives only. So you can have, variety schemes, you can derive based on this one. So if you see that textbook, so he has given, he calls this scheme as, 4.4a. Then so this he calls as, 4.4b scheme. Then 4.4c scheme, like that. You see, he has given some expressions also, detailed expression, to calculate this auxiliary variables itself. So this way, you can increase this, the order of these variables also. Now here, so this way, of course, you can go for higher orders, and you follow it, right? Whatever, increasing this accuracy itself. So like, sometimes in our, so if you want to get good accuracy, say, one way is you decrease the delta H and delta T, very small you make spatial and this one, or you increase H and T, but you go for a higher order scheme. Okay, so this is several ways, we can do it, to increase the accuracy itself. So now let us see, we want to find out, the stability analysis. This is very important. Okay, so how do we find out, check the stability? You followed. So long back we have discussed in great detail for, the one-dimensional, the wave equation. Now we are using this velocity, stress formulations. Okay. So now I want to check whether the, this entire thing is stable or not. Now how do you check stability? So last time we told, right, if I want to check stability, say, how do I check stability of any scheme?
So based on the solution obtained, sir, based on the roots, whether it is complex or
Followed.
imaginary.
Followed. So now how do you get the roots? So what is the fundamental thing you have to substitute? So you have any partial differential equations. I want to know its stability. Of course, how do you get the roots? What is that you have to substitute? How you have to
First
assume
we
this?
take trivial solution, sir.
No,
I is
what is
equal
that you
to e
assume?
raised to ast we take, sir. Then we differentiate it.
Followed. So what do you call that one? That is a plane waves. Okay. You followed e to the power of I kx minus omega t, like that you have to take, and then you have to get the, check the roots and other things. Okay. So now let us see for the velocity stress formulation, say, okay, how to do this expression. So already I think the equation we have already seen, previously itself. So now, just let me write once again. So now in the velocity stress formulation, say, okay. So the basic, where is it? Just 1 second. So our equations are, right, dou v by, dou t is equal to b dou sigma by dou x, and then dou sigma by dou t is equal to m into dou v by dou x. Okay, so now let us check the stability of this velocity stress formulation. That is essentially the stability, and of course of all the schemes itself. Okay, in a generalized fashion. So now here, what is that we have done now? What type of schemes we have used to solve these two equations? How we have represented the derivatives in finite difference? What scheme we have used? Forward difference, central difference, backward difference, or what we have done just now?
Central difference.
So central difference in time, central
And
difference
space.
in space also. We have seen a 2-2 scheme. Then we have also seen 4-4, this type of a scheme. Then we have even seen 4.4a, b, c, d. You followed it. All these schemes also we have seen fourth order and this one. So now we want to check the stability, of these schemes. Okay. So now just for your quick this information, say, or maybe some simple thing to know how to check the stability. Let us we take you followed, right? Central in central in space, okay, forward in time. Just we have not used this one, but just to see the stability, because the scheme is unstable. That's why you followed, right? So wherever you see a time derivative, say, so we are taking forward difference. Wherever you say spatial derivative, so we are using a central difference. Of course, we have used central in space, central in time also. That is a stable, okay. But what happens actually, okay, this is unstable scheme. Let us see this one. So now represent these two equations in finite difference, okay. So wherever you see a temporal derivative, use a forward. Wherever you see a spatial derivative, so you have to represent with the central difference scheme. So you can write this expression as 1 by delta t, say, okay. So vi m plus 1, okay, minus vi of m. So this is our forward derivative for dou v by dou t, okay. So now on your right hand side, say, so you can write 1 by rho I. 1 by rho anyway is nothing but your b itself. That is nothing but buoyancy or reciprocal of density itself, okay. So now I am using a central difference. So now central difference in this for sigma. Let me just so central difference for the sigma. So that is I plus 1 minus I minus 1, okay. So this is our expression. So forward in time, central in space. Now the second equation also, so if I write 1 by delta t, so sigma m plus 1, okay, I minus sigma im I. So this is a forward difference in time, and here it is a central difference, okay. So some ci. So now this your mi we are having here, okay. So 1 by 2 times h, okay. So we have this velocity. So v of I plus 1, this is m, and this is central derivative, okay, I minus 1. So this scheme is a forward in time, central in this one. So now we want to find out its stability, say, okay. So now what is that you have to assume now to check stability of a finite difference scheme? What you have to do, previously also we have done, right? We have to substitute. What is the solution? What is that you have to do for stability? You have to write e to the power of
e to the power of kx plus omega.
No, but you have to write it in a finite difference scheme, okay. So this becomes minus omega m into delta t, okay. So plus k into I into h actual, okay. This is how we see we write. Now similarly traction, that is your stress, also you have to write in this fashion, okay. So sigma also we substitute I into minus omega, so m into delta t plus ki into h actual. So now because these are velocity stress formulation, right, you have two equations, one for velocity, another one for stress. So now you have to substitute both these things in the above equation. So now so if you substitute in the above equation, say, okay. So now what happens, say, like for example, so we have the sigma I plus 1 m minus sigma I minus 1 m. What happens if I substitute this expression? So now wherever you are having I, say, so you replace I plus 1 to calculate this. Wherever you are having I, you replace with I minus 1 in that expression, okay. So you will have so if you substitute in this above equations, so you have sigma I m. So you can write this as e to the power of this I kh minus e to the power of minus I kh itself, and this can be written as so sigma I of m, so 2I sine kh, okay. So this is how we can write. So now similarly, so your velocity, okay, minus so vi I minus 1, say, this also can be written as so vi m, so 2 times I sine kh, okay. So this is how we write. So now you substitute in the above equations, say. So one can write as so vi m plus 1. So this is vi of m plus 1 by rho I. Rho anyway is nothing but your density, okay. So delta t by h, okay. So ti of m I sine kh. So just this we are substituting in this above equations. So this equation. So wherever you have I plus 1, this one, So you substitute this quantity. Now this quantity say, so you are substituting in this expression, okay, the schemes. So now you will get two equations, one for Vi, then you have for sigma also. So this is sigma. So sigma you see I m plus 1. So this is sigma I m. So some C, of course, this m is here. So this Young's modulus delta T by H. Okay. So your velocity, then I sine is kh. Okay. So these are the two finite difference equations. If we substitute that e to the power of that plane wave ikx minus omega t in a finite difference format. So these two equations is you can write it in a nice fashion after arranging all those things. So you can write them as Vi m plus 1 as Vi of m. Okay, so plus 1 by rho of I. Okay, so delta some I, then some capital S. Okay, so sigma I m. Okay, now similarly, so your sigma I m plus 1, this can be written as so sigma I m plus your mi. So delta I, some capital S Vi of m. Okay, so where our delta say, okay, the definition is like this. So delta is delta T by H. Okay, the ratio, and your capital S is some sign times kh. Okay, just representing some nice format. So these are our this is finite difference schemes for velocity stress formulation, forward in time, central in space. So now we have to check the stability. So now we define a new vector say, okay, so which is ui of m, so which is defined like this. Okay, so Vim, then sigma say Im. So we have defined a new vector because there are two equations are there. Okay, and now if we define a matrix G say like this, 1 delta I S by rho I. Okay, then mi delta I S 1. Okay, so this is also one matrix a G kind of a thing. So now you can see these equations. So if you see these equations carefully, now what are these equations? M plus 1 is related to Vi of m, sigma I of m. This is sigma I of m, Vi of m. You can write it in a nice matrix kind of a format. So right hand side you are having m plus 1, m plus 1. Left hand side you are having all mi terms. So this is like a time marching scheme itself. So you can write this entire thing as, so uy say m plus 1. Okay, so this entire scheme, so G uy of m actually. So this is how you can write our finite difference scheme in this format. So now we have to write, you followed, right? So now you can write this expression also as, so now m plus 1 I ui m actual. So you can write it in a recursive format kind of a thing, and you can write so you can write this as G into G u I, you followed, right, m minus 1. Okay, and or you can write this as a G G G uy, you see m minus 2, like this. You can write like this. So finally you can write this as G m plus 1 say, so uy 0 also. Okay, so 2 times with G square G cube like this. So if this is your initial velocities, initial velocity and stress at time t is equal to 0, so you have to just multiply by, if you want to find out at 100th time steps say, so you have to calculate G multiplied by 100 times, and you can get this solution itself. So now if you take the norm, you see the length or whatever, so now uy m plus 1. Okay, so this is the norm, so gm plus 1. So uy you see not actual. Okay, so one can prove from that squads inequality and other things in mathematics also, it should be always less than g. So this m plus 1. Okay, so uy not actual. So this is how the solution is growing actual. So now what this tells you is, so if I know at the initial times what is the solution at time is equal to 100 steps or 200 steps or so many steps, how the solution is growing is given by this the equation. So now so to be, you followed, right? So if you want to have a stable solution say, so now what should be the criteria here now? So if I want a bounded solution, it should not explode. What should be the criteria here now? Or if I want a stable solution say, what should be the criteria now? See now what is this equation? So you see this equation here. So at m plus 1th time is related to your initial condition, okay, through this multiplied by this matrix G. And anyway G you see we have written here. So now if we want to have a bounded solution, say what should be the criteria here? What should be the condition on G?
G shouldn't be growing, sir.
So what should be the criteria? It should not be growing means what? You know?
Less than 1.
No, see why it should be less than? No.
1.
See, it should suppose if it is more than 1, what happens? Suppose if it is 2, say, what happens? Because you are multiplying, no, 2 into 2 into 2 into 2, what happens? The solution automatically grows up actually. So it becomes, so now suppose if it is less than 1, so you know, right, 0.9, say, let us say, so 0.9 into 0.9, what happens? 0.81 comes. Then you follow 0.9 into 0.9 into 0.9 like that. The solution, you see, doesn't grow. You followed, right? So if you want to have a stable solution, the only criteria is you followed it. So this should be less than 1. So this is the only criteria which we have. Okay. So now this is nothing but the norm of a. So now in our case, G is not a number. So G is basically, you see, it is a matrix actually. Okay. So how do you find out norm of a matrix? So this is a norm, we say. So how do you find out norm of a matrix? Or length of a matrix? See, norm is nothing but length, we say. So if we give any matrix, how do you find out its length? How many? Determinant. See how many length a matrix has. See, like for example, vectors. If I have a vector, how many lengths it has? Vector. So you have done a linear algebra, right? If I have a vector, say 2y plus 3j plus 4k, you remember, no? You have solved in mathematics. What is the length of a vector?
Divided by square root of
2 square plus 3 square, you followed it like that. So vector has only one length, but matrix, the matrix has how many lengths? See, matrix has how much length? What is the length of a matrix? A matrix is basically like your stress tensor. You understand, right? So it is a tensor quantity. So it has how many lengths? It has basically, if the size of matrix is 3 by 3, so it has a 3 lengths actually. You understand? So now here, what is the size of the matrix here? G is only a 2 by 2 matrix. So it has a 2 length. What is the length corresponds? Physical meaning, you know, what does this length it says? Length of a matrix means they are nothing but eigenvalues. Remember. So eigenvalues you followed, right? We compute for matrices. The reason is, eigenvalues also indicate something like a length actually. Because matrix size, if it is 3 by 3, so then you have 3 eigenvalues, which means, this one. And vector is anyway, you collapse matrix to one column or one array, so you will get automatically, this vector itself. So there is only one left. So you have to find out eigenvalues of your matrix. So now since it is a 2 by 2 matrix, so if I indicate these eigenvalues by some lambda, say, so what it says is the maximum. Okay, so j is equal to 1 comma 2. So this lambdas, okay, so this should be less than 1. So this is the criteria. So G less than or equal to 1 means essentially the eigenvalues of the matrix should be, you see, less than or equal to 1. Then only the solution is stable. So now you have to find out eigenvalues of your G matrix. Okay. So this has to be found out, the G matrix. So now how do you find out eigenvalues? All of you know, right? So you take a determinant, you remember, no? So G minus lambda times identity matrix. So this has to be 0, you know, all those things. Okay, so I will not go into the details. So the eigenvalues of that matrix, if you try to find out, so you get like this: minus I square del square, C is at this mi by rho I followed S square is equal to 0. And you can write this 1 minus lambda, okay. So this turns out to be I delta, so mi by, you see, rho I half, okay, 1 by 2, then times S itself, and finally say, so the eigenvalues will be lambda 1 comma 2. So the 1 plus r minus I delta t by h, okay. So mi by rho I whole to the power of half sine kh. So you have substituted everything actually. So these are the eigenvalues. Now you tell me whether the scheme is stable or unstable. Now suppose if I take delta t some 0.1 seconds and h as some 0.1 kilometer. Now comment about the stability, whether the scheme is stable or unstable. What is the condition for stability?
It's stable,
Just
sir.
it is.
See, it looks to be stable. Condition is it should be less than 1 for a
Less
stable
than
condition.
1. So now what is happening here?
Plus 1 plus if we take it is greater than 1. If we take 1 minus it will be less than 1, sir.
Whatever
There is
it
two
may be. So always among these two lengths you will have one root which is always greater than
1.
1. So amplitude, okay. So the amplitude of lambda, say always there is a chance of 1. So what does it tells you? When lambda is 1, at least one root also, if it is more than 1, say what happens?
It is unstable.
Unstable. So now so this is you followed, right? So it doesn't depend on your delta, the time increment or the spatial increment. Whatever delta you take, whatever h you take, say, okay. So this scheme says you followed, right? You will always get this unstable the results itself. Okay. So this is a very the important thing. Okay. Now, so you followed, right? So now this is what we call as whatever actual. So for any delta t by h, say, so there is one root, okay, 1 comma 2, so which is always greater than 1 itself. So which means this is scheme, that is what is our scheme? Forwarding time and central in space, okay, is so whatever value you are taking, it is unstable only, this scheme. So we call this as unconditionally unstable, actually worst case. Okay, so unconditionally unstable. So whatever delta t you take, whatever h you take, there is of no use actually. So if we still reduce delta t, if we still reduce h also, there is no option to follow, right? It is a worst scheme. So always you are getting unconditionally unstable. So that's why in the velocity stress formulation, say, you should never use the forward in time and then you follow, right, central in space itself. So this is a very, very followed, right, important thing, why we use central in space, central in time itself. Now let us see our second scheme, that is central in space, central in time. Okay, time and space. So now let us write our equations. So 1 by 2 delta. So time derivative is also central derivative. Okay, so m minus 1 itself. Okay, so minus see vi m plus m minus 1. This is m plus 1. So this is 1 by rho I, 1 by 2 times h. So sigma im I plus 1. So this is also central derivative. Okay, I minus 1. Now similarly the second equation also you can write. So 1 by 2 delta t. So sigma I m plus 1 minus sigma I m minus 1. Okay, so this is mi. So 1 by 2 times h. So v I plus 1 minus vm I minus 1. Okay, so now we have taken a scheme which is central in time, central in space itself. Okay, so now you have to do, so now to find out stability, so once again we substitute that vi of m, we discussed it previously. So same thing we do it here. So if you write the expressions, you see, so vi m plus 1. Okay, finally the time marching scheme. So vi m minus 1 plus 1 by rho I. Okay, so delta 2i capital S, then sigma I, then m. Okay, now similarly your sigma I, say m plus 1. So this becomes sigma I m minus 1 plus m I delta, so 2i s vi of m. So this is our this scheme, the central difference scheme. So now to write it in a nice format, in a matrix kind of a format, say. So here I cannot write in a matrix format. The reason is, we have a sigma im, then VIM, then VIM minus 1, sigma im minus 1. So previously it was all same thing, we used to write in a 2 by 2 matrix kind of a thing. Now this equation, I can't write it in a 2 by 2 matrix. So here what we do is, we do it like this actually. Vi of m is equal to Vi of m. Okay. So then our sigma I of m is equal to sigma I of m. Now I can write it in a matrix format. So now I define a new variable, a new vector, some ui. So which is like this. So VIM minus 1, then sigma I m, then sigma I m minus 1. Okay, so this is a new variable I have defined. Now our matrix G. Okay, so this also now it will be 4 by 4 matrix. So 0 1, 1 by rho I, so delta, so 2 I s, then this term is 0. So 1, because we are 0 0 0, then I have mi delta, so 2 I s, then I have 0 0 1, then 0 0 1 0. So this is my matrix actually. Okay, so now I can write this in a format like whatever I have done. So ui m plus 1, say. So this is equal to G u m of y. Okay, so now in the same formats I can write this as so G m plus 1 ui 0 kind of a thing, and like I have told you, right, to for the matrix to be stable, say. So this norm, okay, of your G, so this should be less than or equal, so less than, you followed it, 1 itself. So which means I have to find out eigenvalues. But here the problem is my G is a 4 by 4 matrix. Okay, so you have to find out eigenvalues of a 4 by 4 matrix. So you will get a characteristic equation and all those things. So so if I write that eigenvalue, so directly, so 1 minus 2 lambda square plus 4 del square, so mi by rho I, okay, capital S square del square plus lambda to the, sorry, here lambda square, okay, plus lambda to the power of 4 is equal to 0. So this is a fourth order equation we have, and we will get, you followed, right, the 4 eigenvalues. So if you just define some other new, just for simplification, if you define a new variable a, okay, so which is a del square, okay, so mi by rho I times capital S square. Okay, so this is our a. So this entire expression, say, we are replacing with a, okay, like this, and then we define new variables z, which is lambda square. Okay, because you are having lambda power 4, lambda square kind of a thing. So now you can write the above equation, say, like this. So 1 plus some 4a minus 2 times z plus z square is equal to 0. So now our roots will be, you see, so something like this. So z1 comma 2, say. So this is just a quadratic equation we have to use. So z1 comma 2 will be 1 minus 2a, so plus or minus 2a square minus a half actual. Okay, so now for this algorithm to be stable, so what is the criteria? What is the criteria? So if you want to have stable results, what should happen? The eigenvalue should be, what should be the comment on z?
It should be less than 1.
So your z1 comma 2, okay, so this should be less than or equal to 1. So which means what should be the condition on a? So now your z depends on a. So which means one can show that if a is if a lies from 0 to 1, say, so z also will lie, you followed, right, 1 less than 1. So this is our criteria. So now what is a? So a is this the constant here, you followed. So now which means your del square, say. So which means our del square, so mi by rho I multiplied by this s square. So this should be less than or equal to 1 to get this system. So what is a delta? We have defined it. Delta is a delta t by h. Then all those things we have. And what is s also we have defined as some sign. You remember where did we write those things? So we have defined, so this was our expression, we defined, right? Yes. See, we have defined here. See now, what is a delta? See, we have defined here, delta E is a delta T by H, and the capital S is sine KH. Okay. So that is sine KH is there here. So now we substitute all those things. Anyway, sine is same only. Okay. So now I say S is your sine this itself. So anyway, sine wave means anyway its amplitudes will be lying from -1 to 1 itself. So now this is something like your amplitude. Okay, so this term. So this is like your amplitude of your sine wave. So which means your delta t. It should be less than rho I by your mi whole square. This square root will be there and h actually. So as already we said, delta is delta t by h, and s is some sine this term. So sine anyway this amplitude will be -1 to 1, so there is nothing to worry. So if your delta t say, if we can select that it should be less, if it follows this criteria, then we can say the solution is stable. So that means it's conditionally stable kind of a thing. So it is conditionally stable. So here but you have to select delta t on this one. What is rho I by mi? See, like for example, your velocity say, so mi root of m by rho is velocity. You followed. This is the velocity of the wave. See, like for example, if the wave is traveling in soil medium, say, so soil medium generally let us say the velocity is some 200 meters per second actual. Okay, and let us say I have taken h as some you see 1 meter or something I have taken. Now what should be the delta t? So you can easily, you follow, right, calculate here. So m by rho is square root of m by rho is velocity actual. Okay, so now here it is a reciprocal of the velocity kind of a thing you are having here. So now how much should be the delta t? Now
0.05.
so this is a v kind of a thing. So it is something 1 by, you followed, right, 200 kind of a thing. So delta t should be this much. Suppose if velocity is very high, say, okay, so like for example 1000 meters per second. Now what happens?
Square
1 by,
root of 1 by 200, 1 by 1000.
no square root. See, the square root of m by rho itself is velocity. You understand? So this is still we are calling as velocity. You followed, right? Velocity
Yes,
of p wave or something. Here anyway square root is there. No, it is just reciprocal only here. Okay. So it should be like this. So if you are simulating in see, like physically speaking, what is 200 meter per second? What is 1000 meters per second? What type of medium it is? No. So physically speaking, 200 meter per second means it is essentially soil, loose soil materials. Now whereas it is a rock type of you follow, right, materials which we are having here. So this is how you have to select your delta t. Okay. So based on this you can select, so the conditionally stable kind of a scheme. So now in our previous class and whatever we have discussed to say, so if you take central in time, central in space, so you are going to get stable results itself. So because we have not taken any forward derivatives, so whatever we have done until now, it is all perfectly fine kind of a thing. Okay, so now let us write for all our schemes itself. So now so you can write this the schemes here itself. So it is given in the textbook itself. So if we denote this s squares, okay, so if we define, so if we define this s as delta by h, okay, times c. So if I define s as delta by h times c, then 1 second, s2 as sine half kh. Okay, so this is s2. Then we define s4, that is 9 by 8 sine half kh, okay, minus 1 by 24 sine 3 by 2 kh. Okay, so this is S4. So if I define all these terms like this, okay, S1, S2, this itself. So now the stability schemes. Okay, now for 2 comma 2 scheme, that is our central difference equation. So you can write dispersion equations also. Okay, so the dispersion relations also we can write. Of course, as already I told you, there is a chance that this also can be imaginary also, physical wavelength. You remember last time we have discussed in the great detail. Okay, so dispersion relation for two schemes, so you can easily find out, okay, based on the this itself, half omega into delta. So this is s square into s2 square. Okay, so this is for a 2 scheme. Now similarly for 4 schemes, sorry, 2 scheme. Okay, so for 2 scheme, sine square half you see omega hat into delta. So this is equal to s square into s4 square. So these are all the dispersion schemes for variety this one. Now we have done, right, 4 comma 4a, 4 comma 4b. For this also you can derive just by substitution only, that same expressions. Okay, so this is s square into s4 square into 1 minus 1 by 6 s square into s square 4 whole square. So like that 4.4a, 4.4b, you can derive, you see, all these type of the dispersion relations also. Okay, for variety of these schemes itself. Now one can also show that the stability also we can the follow this in terms of the Courant number and other things also. So one can also calculate the variety of these stability schemes also, numerical dispersion and all those things. So now we can do some more so for the stability conditions, say. Okay, so we can calculate, you can plot the for variety of values, delta this s values. Okay, so how it is increasing, how it is decreasing. So you can get variety of these cases, and you can find out this stability issues also in detail. You can study. Okay, so this is how I have just illustrated you the broad procedures for all these velocity stress formulations itself, and you can write the grid phase velocity also. Yeah. So all the grid phase velocities previously we have written. Okay, so one can write this as sine half omega hat into delta is equal to some psi. All of them depends on k and h actual. So this psi depends on your schemes. Okay, so that is a 2 comma 2 or 2 comma 4, 2 comma 5, and 2 comma 4 comma 4. All kinds of schemes this side depends on. So now from this you can write is our dispersion as omega hat is equal to 2 by delta, say sine inverse of psi s comma kh sorry k by h into kind of a thing. Sorry, 1 second. So one can write, you see, for all these cases. Suppose if you assume that k is physical, say it is not a real quantity and it is a physical kind of a thing. So our grid dispersion curve. Okay, so the grid phase velocity. So the phase velocity, we had. So this can be written as so omega real by k. Okay, so this means is so 2 by k times delta. So sine inverse. So psi s comma kh. Okay, so this is our phase velocity, and of course the normalized phase velocity also you can calculate. Okay, okay, so that is your v hat by c. The c is the exact phase velocity, that is m by rho. Okay, so now so 2 by ck times delta. So sine inverse psi s comma is kh. Okay, so these how you see the phase velocities also can be calculated here. So now here also you can calculate, like previously I have we have stated, right, one algorithm. See how to find out a delta t, and then I asked you to write a small MATLAB you followed, right? You can try and you can get these numbers also. So you can find out, you see, like for example, if you take n lambda, number of samples, so lambda by h, say, okay, that is a wavelength where lambda is your not eigenvalue, wavelength. Okay, so how many number of points you see you are taking and other things also we have seen. So you can write all those. Previously we have done all the derivations. Okay, so this becomes n lambda by pi, just 1 second. Hello, చెప్పండి సార్. Yes, okay. So now you see we can write in terms of this number of samples per we defined long back, Sm, all those things we have defined. So arc sine this you see sine phi. Okay, so s comma I or p times Sm comma n times lambda. Okay, so this also we can write. Okay, so like what at this, so now this quantity is your psi Sm comma this one. So it depends on your schemes. So if it is a 2 comma 2 scheme, say, okay, so it will be like already we have written right here now. So if it is that type of a scheme, then this will be s square into s2 square. Suppose if it is a 2 comma 4, say, so this will be different for all the different cases. But all of them can be written in this simple kind of equation itself. And then these equations can be used to study, you see, the numerical dispersion. Okay, so if you see that textbook, right, so if you see in the textbook, say, figure 7.13, okay, so that he has plotted actually. Okay, so in page number 143, say, okay, so he has plotted all the dispersion curves actually as a function of n lambda. Okay, so if you see the figures, so he gives like this. So n lambda here, so he has plotted the normalized grid velocity. So in reality, say, we expect your this should be 1 because analytical velocity is c. So in finite difference also you should get the same value actually. Okay, but now if you try to plot the numerical dispersion, say, you can plot it as in your next assignment or something like that. So one can show that if you take a 2 comma 2 scheme, say, so it is something like this actually. Okay, so this is at 6, you are taking n lambda as 6. Suppose if you take 14 also, say, it doesn't approach 1. Okay, so it still approaches 0.99 or 98 or something. Suppose if you take 2 comma 4 or higher order schemes, say 4 comma 4, the higher order schemes, one can show that with you see n times lambda, if you take as 6 points per wavelength, say, almost they reach this 1 itself actually. Okay, so you can see that graphs there in that page. Let me draw properly. No. So these graphs you can see. Okay, so it goes something like this itself. Okay, so this is for your 2 comma 2. Okay, but whereas when you take 4 comma 4 and higher order schemes are 2 comma 4, so with less number of samples itself you can avoid the dispersion. Suppose if you take 8 samples, say, almost they will reach 1 itself. So there is no dispersion, you see, in your simulations, and that is perfectly fine kind of a thing actually. Okay, so you can plot and you can check with these numbers, and I think he has taken P as 0.2 and the stability. Okay, so you can see these graphs, and then you see you also plot these graphs, you know, to avoid to understand this numerical dispersion. So now when you are doing a velocity stress scheme, say, okay, which is the best one? Now what is the best scheme right now? To avoid dispersion as well as stability also.
So central in space and time, sir.
And apart from that, if you take central in space, central in time, and if it is 2, 2, say, algorithm may be stable, but dispersion will be there actually. See, stability is a different issue, dispersion is a different issue. Stability is related to growth of the solution, but dispersion is related to, you know, you are not, that is for the velocities. So when the wave is reaching, velocities at 3 km per second, so your simulated also should be 3 km per second itself. So if you talk in terms of all are stable only, 2, 2 is stable, 4, 4 is stable, 2, 4 is stable. But compared to all these schemes, 4, 4, 2, 4 are the best schemes actually. The reason is you followed, right? If you take 2, 2, and if you are not taking your n lambda, say, see, if you see that figure, if you take n lambda as a 14 also, still your v bar will be not be same as c itself actually. Okay, so this scheme is it is stable, you followed, right? But there is a small amount of dispersion actually. Okay, so this is a problem with 2, 2. So generally, so now in our numerical simulations, say, okay, so these type of schemes will be better. And as already I told you, dispersion is related to what? See, I have told you 2 words actually:
Space.
dispersion, stability. So dispersion is related to, just now I think Siddharth you told, no? Dispersion is related to
Space.
Space. Stability is with respect to time actually. So now what it says is, what is a 2, 4 scheme? In time it is second, in space it is a fourth order. Now what is 4, 4? In time it is 4, space also it is 4. So now if you take 2, 4 scheme, say 2, 4, 4, 4, both of them will give you same thing in terms of dispersion. The reason is the spatial derivative you are approximating 4 here, 4 here actually. Now if you take 2, 4 and 2, 2, so this is 2, 2 actually. Okay, now this is 2, 4 itself. So now what it says is, in time, it doesn't matter. You can go with second order accuracy in time, but in space, if you increase the order, say, then you can avoid this dispersion actually. Okay, this is the most the important thing. And so now whether you are using a 2, 4, now suppose in time, say if you do is a 4, 2, now 4, 2 is better or 2, 4 is better?
4 is better.
Why 2, 4
Because
is better?
dispersion is less in 4, 2. We should have higher degree of dispersion, as you said. So.
No, dispersion is more here. You followed, right? Not less. See, 4, 2 you have, because the spatial derivative is only twice. So here dispersion will be more. But here the time derivative is okay. But spatial derivative, since you are using higher order, say, dispersion will be less itself. Okay, so this is a very, very important graph you can see in the textbook in page number 143. So if you increase the order in your the spatial derivative, say, so then dispersion can be avoided actually. So dispersion, it doesn't depend on your what you are using for time, whether you use 2 or 4 or whatever. Dispersion, it is not a big deal actually. Okay, only thing is, this how you are approximating the spatial derivative, that matters a lot actually. Okay, so this is a very, very important thing, which orders you should go, which order to avoid dispersion, to avoid stability. So stability means only the eigenvalues, but dispersion means, this also matters a lot, what order you are using. Okay, so this way you follow, right? You can do on your own. You can plot those graphs and you can understand in a better fashion. Now one more interesting thing is there. We will not do it in detail. Just right now in our velocity stress formulations, our grid is staggered actually. Okay. Our grid is a staggered grid. Right now we are having all of right, why automatically the staggered grid comes. Now sometimes we can do a collocated grid also. That means you are measuring stress and velocities at same grid point only. This also you can, there's one more extra interesting scheme is staggered grid means sigma at some point, then V at some other actual. And we have seen, right, other schemes on the day we have seen also, because you have to match the derivatives at a particular point. So you define variety kind of a thing. Now you can define also. So this is what they call as collocated grid itself. So here also we have schemes like this Lax Vendroff scheme. Okay, and Mac some car Mac schemes are there. There are several varieties are there. We don't use this in practice. This is not used in widely in practice. This one only is widely used just for our completeness. I'm doing. We will not go into details. Okay. So the velocity stress formulation, you can combine and write in a one equation itself. So if you denote W as velocity and sigma transpose as one vector, and A say is 0, B M 0 say, and B anyway is 1 by rho kind of a thing. Our velocity stress formulation, two equations are there, right? You can write in one equation itself in terms of W. So dou T is A dou W by dou X actually. You follow? So you can write everything, both the equations, the velocity stress formulations in one equation itself. Yeah. Now what happens? Now what type of grid you are going to get? On right hand side, what is that you are having? W. Left hand side, what is that you are having? W only. One is a time derivative, another one is a space derivative. So right hand side, left hand side, both the quantities are W only. So automatically you followed it, you will get a collocated grid actually. You follow. There is no staggering here. So for solving, say, you will get, you followed, right, a collocated grid itself. Suppose if you write those two equations separate, on left hand side you have velocity, right hand side you have stress, other equation stress here, then time here, the derivatives are different. That's why you get a staggered grid actual. Okay. So sometimes you follow, right. So this way also, people try to solve these, the expressions itself. So if you see that textbook, right, so he has given these the expressions also. The philosophy is same. What you are doing is those two velocity stress formulations you are converting into, you are writing like this, like in our structural dynamics also. So we use what do you call this type of things? State space approach. You understand, right? Like that we write. When you having a second order ODs, you convert into first order ODs. We try to solve and the state space formulation. So here also you can combine velocity stress into one type of equation, and you can get this type of numbers itself. Okay. So this is the one way of and you can do it in a collocated grid instead of the staggered grid itself. So he gives if you see the textbook, he has given these formulations also. Okay. So you can go through that, and he has given all the detailed things are there. You can check that book itself. Okay. So fine. So now let us see one thing. Now let us how to write the boundary conditions. Okay, this is a very important thing in this final difference. So now how do we represent? The first boundary condition is we have like this systems. So now I have this is one medium. So I have medium 1. Okay. Then I have medium 2. Yeah. So let us say this is a soil and this is a rock kind of a thing. Now what is the boundary condition at this interface? And there is no force acting, nothing is acting here. So what is the boundary condition? Or for example, concrete and steel actual. Okay. Suppose if we are having RCC say. So two different materials. Okay. So what is the boundary condition at the junction? What is that you assume?
Strain compatibility.
Strain is there. Now what about this one also? See, when you there is no force acting at the joint. Okay. So now what should be the other compatibility? You don't write in terms of course you can write in terms of strains also. What should be continuous here at any junction when you are having two different materials? What is other continuity? Generally, how do you write the boundary conditions? You know, like this. There is no force acting, there is nothing is acting. Or for examples, I will write like this. So you are having one material here, then you have another material here. Here there is a force which is acting inside the rock medium actual. Okay. So now these waves will pass right to soil medium also. Now what is the boundary condition at this junction? Now, what should be continuous?
Displacement.
Displacement has to be continuous. So what does it mean? If displacement is continuous, then there is no slippage actually. You followed, right? So we can call this as welded interface also sometimes. So welding. So when you do welding, what happens? Displacement will be, you followed, right? Continuous. Now what is another continuity? What is the other thing has to be? Like Siddharth told, no, strains have to be continuous or something. So that means you followed, right? The stresses also. So the same thing should go this side also. Okay. So stresses also should be, you see, continuous. So generally these is how we write for welded interfaces. So welding we say. Okay. So the nothing can be shifted like this. Now how do you write these type of boundary conditions in finite difference approach? Okay. So this is very easy in our finite difference. So we do like this. So we write like for example some 5 minus say of x, then k minus of x, and you followed it psi minus of x. So these are real functions. So these are all you followed it some real functions at x less than 0. So this is one material. Similarly, we have 5 plus x, okay, and k plus x, then psi plus x. These are functions x greater than 0. Two materials, okay. So they are junction at x is equal to 0. Okay, so this is your x is equal to 0. Less than 0, we have 5 minus, k minus, psi minus. Here we have 5 plus, k plus, psi plus. Now x is equal to 0 is the interface actually. Okay, where things are the welded interface kind of a thing we have. So now our boundary condition is so we can also write this. Suppose this 5 minus x. Okay, so let us say I can write this as k minus x into psi minus of x. Now similarly say so 5 plus x. Okay, so k plus x, psi plus x. So these are the equations. Okay, for the above material, then for the below material. So now our condition is, I want my boundary condition is phi at 0 is same as phi minus of 0 is same as phi plus of 0 actually. So this is what we call as the continuity condition. Okay. So whether if I continue, whether if I find from the top or whether I find from the bottom, I should get the same answer actually. So this is what we say the continuity at the boundary. Okay. So 5 minus 5 plus, both of them have to be 0. So now for this purposes, so now here I can't use these directly the equations itself. K minus 0, psi minus 0, you followed, right? We cannot do this way. So for this boundary conditions, what we try to do is, we try to define an average. That is, arithmetic average for psi. So we define this half, psi minus of 0 plus psi plus of 0. So we define an average of your size. Okay, then your psi a of 0 say. Okay, so half, so psi of minus half, my negative, this one is you can write in terms of this one by using k minus of 0 plus this is nothing but 5 plus of 0 k plus of 0 kind of a thing. Or you can now at the interface say, so now at the interface what is happening, my boundary condition is psi of minus 0 and this both of them have to be same because this is my boundary condition. So you can pull it out actually. Okay, so this can be written as phi of 0. So this will be 1 by k minus of 0, 1 by k plus of 0. Okay, and if I define this entire quantities as some average, the harmonic average or whatever, so 2 by this quantity k plus and k minus. Okay, so if I define this as kh, I can write this as phi of 0 say as kh of 0 and then psi a of 0 actual. Okay, so this is how you see we write at the boundary condition you followed, right? So if this is satisfied, so your kh is nothing but you see the harmonic average of your this one, and this is your arithmetic average, say. So if I define in this fashion, so this type of equation, this is valid actually, okay, at x is equal to 0, but the only thing is you see you have this averages. Okay, so this is how we try to define between the interfaces. Now let us use this analogy for our thing. Okay, so now we are having two different materials. So welded interface we are having. So now in the top one, say, so the stress strain relation you see, so this is my relation m minus x. Now this material, say, so sigma plus, so this is my m plus epsilon plus x. Okay, so now my condition here is the continuity of stresses. Okay, and it is a welded material interface. Okay, so this is a welded material here. So now here, so my boundary condition is sigma of 0, say, and sigma plus, both of them should be 0 at x is equal to 0 itself. So now to satisfy this condition, say, the only way is sigma of 0 should be same as your harmonic this one, and you have this epsilon a of 0. So which means your mh. So this is a 2 by, okay. So this is a Young's modulus of your this soil plus Young's modulus of this rock actually. Okay, and this epsilon a, say. Okay, so this is nothing but you see the arithmetic the average. Oh, sorry. No. So epsilon minus of 0 plus epsilon plus of 0. So if this is satisfied, so then automatically this can automatically happen. Now this is for stress continuity. Now we want to hand out displacement continuity also. So this also we can write. So if displacements are, so we know the equations of motion, u minus you see dou t square, say, okay, is b minus b minus, b is nothing but 1 by rho itself. Sorry. So b minus dou sigma minus by dou x. And now for other materials, say, so dou square u plus by dou t square is equal to b plus dou sigma plus by dou x. Okay, so two equations are there. Now if it displacement is continuous, automatically you followed, right? Acceleration also will be continuous itself. So if you can make this continuity, say, of acceleration, okay, so assuming both of them are same, so that is dou square u by dou t square at x is equal to 0. So this also can be written as bh of 0 dou sigma by dou x, okay, the arithmetic average at x is equal to 0. Okay, so where these are, so now your bh is so this quantity will be of rho minus plus the rho plus, so this is rho of a, and one can also write this as rho of esa, dou square u by dou t square at x is equal to 0 is same as dou sigma by dou x. This is an arithmetic followed average actually. So this is how we see we represent this the mediums actually. Okay, whenever there is a there is an interface. So this is how we calculate. So these are the equations you followed it whenever there is a welded interface is there. So apart from the original equations, say, okay, so these equations also have to be incorporated when you are going from one medium to another medium. Later on we will see how to write this in a finite difference format itself. Okay, so this is how we represent the boundary conditions. And now when you are having a free surface, okay, so how do you write the boundary condition? How do you write it in suppose like this is our free surface, okay, so you are having a medium here, this is free like earth. What's the boundary condition at free surface? on the like top of the earth, what is the boundary condition you have? See, if the surface is free, say what's the boundary condition?
Slippage is
No stress.
No, say free, like free beams, you know. When you are having a beam, say if I say cantilever free end, what is the boundary condition at the free end generally? See, whenever there is a free, so what is that free means?
Stresses are zero.
Stresses are
Displacements are
zero.
zero.
Displacements are not zero. Okay, displacements are there, rotations are there. It is like a cantilever, free end. Displacement will be there, rotation will be there. But what will not be there is shear force bending moment. Okay. So now in our continuum mechanics, the shear force bending moment are anyway stress resultants. So here we assume that you followed it. The stress itself is zero itself. Okay. So this is a boundary condition. So now in final differences here. So how do we represent this? We use this technique what we call as stress imaging actually. Okay. So now for this purpose, sigma of minus x should be same as minus of sigma x actually. So then your interface sigma minus x plus when you add the two stresses, so automatically you see things becomes zero itself. So now so if we write our final difference, that the scheme say 2, 4 scheme. Okay. So if you write this 2, 4 scheme. Okay. So the equations are there. So Vi m plus half. So this is Vi m minus half plus Bi delta by h. Okay. So 9 by 8. So the 2, 4 scheme. So sigma I plus half m. So then we minus I minus half minus 1 by 24. So sigma m I plus 3 by 2 minus sigma m. Okay, so this was our 2, 4 scheme. We have already written there. So now similarly, so sigma also if I write, so sigma m minus 1. So I plus half plus m I plus 1 by 2 delta by h. Of course, 9 by 8, the same expressions will be in there. Minus half minus, of course you have this 1 by 24, so this term also will be there. So V a plus 2 m minus half minus Vi minus 1, so m minus half. Okay, so this is our 2, 4 scheme. Okay, so now we have to represent at the free surface. So now at the free surface is so as already I told you, at x is equal to 0. So of course the stress has to be, you followed right, it has to be symmetric or anti-symmetric kind of a thing it should happen. So sometimes you followed it, what one uses is dou sigma by dou t. So the derivative itself we can write. So minus h by 2. So we have m minus half. So this is how we write it, dou sigma by dou t. Okay. So the anti-symmetric kind of thing. So m minus half and h by 2. So we also write like this. Okay. So or if you write this expression, say dou sigma by dou t. So this becomes m minus half. So 1 by h. Okay. So v naught m minus half minus v minus 1 m minus half. Okay. So is equal to minus half no. So the right hand side is a minus m by half 1 by h. Okay. So Vi m minus half minus v naught m minus half. So we write our stress imaging equations. Okay. So in one dimension here. So now you followed it. So we have one. If you assume that m half say is same as m minus half. So one can obtain, so v m minus half. So minus 1, then v1 m minus the half kind of a thing. And finally, say, so one can find out that your t, that is the stresses actual. Okay. So sigma m. So we have minus half. So this is same as minus sigma m. So half. Then sigma so m. Okay. Minus 3 by 2 is same as minus sigma m 3 by 2. So here the idea is like this. So if you write this equations, you say, so now we are saying that at x is equal to 0, we have this one. So if you take I is equal to 0, now what happens if I is equal to 0 is the free surface, okay? So if I is equal to 0 is a free surface. Now what happens here in these equations, see, I is equal to 0 is a free surface, say, okay? So now this is a velocity. So at the surface, velocity is not 0, okay? So I is equal to 0 means, so now in our calculations, so we should know this is a problematic term actually. So we should know sigma at minus 3 by 2. So this is our free surface. So this I is equal to 0. So now we have to get the value sigma minus 3 by 2, which is on the surface actual, above the surface itself. Now similarly in our, so this is a problematic. So now at the surface, so this quantity say, so this sigma minus 3 by 2 is a problematic thing here. Then apart from that, we also have this, I minus half actual. So this is sigma, minus half. So these are the two quantities. So free surface is I is equal to 0. Above there is nothing actually, it is just air itself. But now in a finite difference format, when you try to calculate at the free surface, we should get these values itself, I minus half, then I minus 3 by 2. Now with velocities, there is no problem. When I is equal to 0, we have v minus 1, then these are one problem. vi plus 2, these are all perfectly fine. So vi minus 1 is required. So now the boundary conditions will be, you followed it, we write like this. So your v1 minus 1, this one says. So we write our negative side. Negative of 1 is same as v1 m minus half. But whereas stress says, stress is, antisymmetric kind of a thing. Whereas velocity is symmetric, but stress is, antisymmetric. So sigma minus half is same as minus sigma, minus 3 by 2 same as minus sigma m 3 by 2. So that when I add the stresses at the free surface, say, my boundary condition is sigma has to be 0 itself. So this technique is known as stress imaging actually. Okay. So this is a technique, people use it in, to define the free surfaces. So the assumption is at the free surfaces, so the assumption is stresses are, the antisymmetric here, okay. Whereas, the velocities, they are basically, a symmetric kind of a thing we have, okay. So these are very, the important, you follow the assumption you try to do and how to handle this free surfaces itself, okay. So now, see, this is the one thing. So now the another last boundary conditions, that is, the absorbing boundary conditions. Okay. So this is how we represent. Of course, I will give you introduction. Maybe next class we will derive. So now, what do you mean by absorbing boundary conditions? So let us say you are simulating in a infinite medium, say. Okay. So we have a infinite medium. Now, can you model infinite medium in finite difference? See, infinite medium, can you model in finite difference? On any numerical technique? See, on a computer, say, can you model infinite on a computer?
No.
So now what you have to do? See, I have an infinite medium like this. X goes from 0 to infinity. Okay. So this is my beam. If I take, so x is equal to 0 is here, and it goes about infinite long. Now, how do you represent infinite element or any numerical methods? Can you represent infinite length?
No, sir.
Now, how do you handle infinite numerical schemes?
By solving it partly.
So now, no, how do you solve? What is the condition you have to do? So you cannot go up to infinity. So what is that you try to do here?
A certain length will solve, sir.
So now what happens? So if you approximate up to, let us say, this distance, so you are representing the medium as like this. Now what happens when you cut it to up to 100 meters, say? and then model. Now let us say the force is applied somewhere here actually. Now what happens? What happens at this end? What's the boundary condition here? See, what's the boundary condition here at the surface?
Free.
It's not free, sir.
Free means what then?
It's not free. So it has stresses over there.
No, what is the boundary condition you want?
So we are taking resistive.
No, what should be the boundary condition here? No, it is infinity. See, now what happens when a wave, so your plane wave is going say like this, okay? Now when it hits this boundary, what happens? So you have restricted. So what happens? It reflects back actually, followed. So whenever you are having a boundary, so when it goes hits anything, so some portion will get reflected back, and of course you followed it because this end is, it happens. But now in reality, what happens if the wave is going like this? Say, what happens at this junction in reality? There is no boundary there. So what happens? It happily propagates like this actually. But now since you have put up a boundary here, so what happens is some portion gets reflected back, or you follow it, some problem comes actually. So now how do you solve this one? How do you represent infinite medium in a finite this one? So here the boundary condition should be such that, so when the wave is going like this, say, suppose if this is my boundary, when the wave is hitting my boundary, what should happen? Nothing should be reflected back actually, followed. So this is how the solution should be actual. Okay, so now here the idea here is what type of boundary condition I should use at this surface such that there should be no reflections at all. You understand? So there should be no reflections at all. You followed? No reflections at the this finite end actually. So the condition here is what type of boundary condition I should use, whether it should be free or whether it should be fixed or simply supported, or whatever condition I should use here. Stress is 0 or something else is 0 or something is continuous, such that no waves should you followed it reflect back to the inside the medium. So now, so infinite mediums, this is a very, very big problem in our numerical calculations. So generally what happens, so if you take a medium, say, and then you make this end fixed, or if you make it free, say, what happens at the free end? Now, what happens at the free end? So just now we have seen, right? What happens at the free end? What happens to the velocity? See here, what is velocity? Now, what is velocity here? V minus 1 is same as V of it is symmetric. So what happens? So your velocity at the surface becomes what? Now what will be the velocity at the surface at x is equal to 0? What will be V of 0? Because of symmetry, say, what happens? This plus this, the velocity becomes doubled actually. You understand? Now here when it is anti-symmetric, so what happens at the surface at the stress? So because sigma minus half is minus of sigma half actually. So now at the surface you have, when you add the stresses, so this will cancel the stresses, but velocity is doubled actually. You followed? So now when you use a free condition, say, now if you assume that this end is free, now what happens? Whatever you are simulating the wave, what happens to this wave? So it becomes double, the amplitude becomes, but that should not happen. You followed, right? So this is what we call as the absorbing boundary condition. So what should happen at the surface is nothing should happen in the surface. There should be no reflections. Nothing should happen. Whatever wave comes, it should just silently pass like this actually. Okay, so this is a very, very important thing in all numerical schemes actually. How to represent this, the infinite mediums, infinite elements, this is a big problem. So there are two types of methods are there. Okay, so if you see the literature, so in the older days we used to use the paraxial boundary conditions actually. Okay. So this problem was there in 1977. So one paper came, Clayton and Engquist. This is a famous paper where they have defined this. The paraxial boundary conditions are there. Okay, so you can see. if you type in Google also, you will get these papers. Okay, Clayton and Engquist. So this was a the very important paper you followed, right, long back. So this was like a people were using this approach only in all the simulations. Okay, so now after that you followed it, then this perfectly matched layer came. Okay, so perfectly matched layer we say. So this is a new thing which is very efficient. PML, let's say. You followed, right? So this is what people right now all the computational schemes say. So they use this perfectly matched layer theory or something to represent this the boundary condition. So the concept is very simple. So what it does is so you have two equations are there, say. So like for example, so this is our original medium which is infinite. Okay, so now what we do is we are representing this in a finite medium up to this place. What people do is what we try to do is so now at this junction, say we define some more slightly, we increase our length of our beam or something. So this is your original. Okay, this one, so this we call as PML, that is a perfectly matched layer medium. So this is a different medium actually. Okay, so the idea here is, so this medium is we have approximate this as something like a viscoelastic medium actually. Okay, so this is like undamped medium or original medium kind of a thing. So when a wave goes, say, so it will be like this. Okay, so now at this junction what happens is nothing will happen to the wave, but it decays actually. You followed, of course it decays something like this. Okay. So now you followed it. So it decays, like this itself. So it is something like this perfectly matched layer is something like, the same whatever equations of motion you have in the original medium, say. So you write same equations of motion you write, okay. But we incorporate, this damping, in the medium, okay. We have defined previously viscoelastic coefficients or something like that. So we use those set of equations. The equation of motion is same, but we use this one such that there is no this thing, and automatically these waves die down actually. Okay, so this is what we call as the perfectly matched is the layer kind of a thing. Okay, so fine. So I will stop here. I think today I think we had a too long class. I think we discussed so many things are there. So you people go through, maybe by next class we will close our finite difference. Okay, let us go to Teams. Stop recording.